Good afternoon and welcome back to Coach Master and session number 2 of Cracking the Hero Husband Code. Today, we're diving into the single most powerful shift that helps husbands show up as confident, connected, and courageous partners. Marriage coach Leslie Juarez is here to reveal the number one hack that transforms everyday interactions into a lasting connection. Most men listen to fix. What if listening differently could change everything? Discover the simple yet powerful shift that builds trust, connection, and respect. Let's get right to it. Please welcome back Leslie Juarez.
Hi, and welcome to part 2 of Breaking the Hero Husband Code, the number one hack that turns husbands into heroes with Coach Master. I'm Leslie Juarez, licensed marriage and family therapist and marriage coach, and I'm really excited to share this episode with you. So, have you ever been accused by your wife of not listening? And if you have, you probably feel, no, I'm listening to her. I really, really am. But here's the thing. What you're doing is you are listening mostly to respond and not to doing the number one thing that can change every single conversation that you have. And that is listening to understand. Now, I get it. When you're having a conversation with your wife, you really do think you're listening. But here's what most of us do. Most of us hear enough of the conversation to say to ourselves, hey, I know where this is going. I know what she's about to say. And so you start formulating your response to her. And what happens is you actually stop listening to what she's actually saying. So you miss some of it. And therefore you sometimes are having two different conversations because you're responding to what you think she means as opposed to really listening to what she's saying to you. And this is a mistake that so many of us make. And I get it. This is true, especially if your wife is upset about something. Because what I've learned in my many, many years of working with men is that if their wife is upset, even if she's not upset with you, but if she's just upset in some way, she's hurt, she's angry, she's disappointed, she's frustrated, she's having all these challenging emotions, and she's sharing them with you, men get accused of fixing and not listening. And the reason why you do is because you don't want the woman that you love to be hurting. So you jump in and you try to fix the situation. And if you've experienced this, what generally happens is it doesn't work. In fact, it just makes the situation worse. This is when she accuses you of not listening to her. And so again, when you're listening to respond, if you've been together with your wife for a while, you're also making some assumptions. And there's a very famous expression about what happens when we assume. You assume that you know where she's going. And especially if you've had this conversation before. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go. It's going to be a rehash of the same conversation. Let me jump in and try to make it all better. And in actuality, you make it worse. Mennonite pastor, author, and counselor David Augsburger said, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable. And this is where real listening comes into play. Listening to understand. Because a lot of what she's talking about is the surface level. It's not really what's going on. I have a colleague who I met him because he wrote a blog post that the reason why he got divorced is because he left dishes in the sink. And I texted him, I said, Matt, that's not the reason why you got divorced. It's what the dishes stood for. So as long as they were talking about the dish in the sink, he was missing what was really the problem. He was listening to respond, not listening to understand. Now, when you listen to understand, it does not mean that you agree with her. What listening to understand means is I've heard you. I can turn to a third person who did not hear any part of the conversation and correctly represent your position. That means I have understood what's going on. Now, like my friend Matt, who was having this constant disagreement about the dishes, he was missing what was underneath. He needed to ask some more questions, right? This is where two of my all-time favorite words come in: curiosity and confusion. Because in order to understand your wife's position, you need to go deeper, right? Nobody gets divorced over dishes in the sink. It's what those dishes stand for. It's the fact that she didn't feel appreciated. It's the fact that she felt like it was her responsibility to do something with the dishes. It's not what Matt meant, but it's what she took away. And as long as he was arguing his position that there was no big deal about the dishes in the sink and why was she getting so upset about it, he didn't listen to understand. Now, again, this is not a normal way for most people to talk. But I'm going to tell you that if you learn how to do this, if you learn how to go deeper with what the issue is for your wife, where you truly understand it, that's when you can actually start to work with it. But until she feels heard, until she feels understood, you are just going to keep going round and round and round and never get anywhere. And as David Augsburger said, when she feels heard, when she feels like her feelings have been acknowledged, even if you don't feel the same way, and that's okay, but when she feels like you get it, that's when you can start having a real conversation that is going to get you to real resolution. Now, granted, it works the same way. You want to be understood, which is why there's frequently jumping in to explain your position, to defend what you are doing, like my friend Matt. It just, as you probably have experienced, makes the situation worse. Now, in order to listen to understand, you have to be able to manage your own emotions, because she might say something that you feel is inaccurate, that triggers your own defenses. But the minute you get defensive, the minute you let your emotions take over, your cognitive brain literally goes offline. You are not processing what she is saying. You are experiencing your own emotions. So in order to listen to understand, you need to embrace the power of the pause, giving yourself enough time to register what she's really saying. And this is where those confusion and curiosity questions can come in. You can say, hey, I'm curious. Can I get an example of when this happened? Or I'm confused. I was following you up to this point, and then something was said that I just didn't understand. Can we go back? Right? Because you're getting deeper. Now, I highly recommend that you don't use the word why or you don't use the word you, but I heard this. Did I get that right? Did I miss something? Being open to what she's saying. And again, understanding her position does not mean you agree with it. I have to say that again. Understanding does not equal agreement. It just means I know where she is coming from. And this is a critically important component because she will feel heard. She will feel like you care about her. She will feel loved, which means she will be more open to having a conversation about how to move forward. Now, ideally, when you listen to understand, she will also start doing that so that you guys will get down into not just arguing about the dishes in the sink, but how those dishes in the sink make you feel, or how the way you were talking about these things make you feel. And by the way, again, once you are talking about your feelings, you are going to be connecting on that emotional level, which is so critical for a healthy, loving, happy relationship. Because if you're wanting to increase your intimacy, her feeling loved and understood is a critical component to that, because that makes her feel connected to you, which makes physical interaction much more likely and also much more enjoyable. So hopefully you have found this helpful. And if you have any questions about this or any other relationship issue, you can connect with me through my website, theherohusbandproject.com. So thank you so much for being here. Take care for now, and I'll see you in the next session.
Thank you, Leslie, for that powerful insight, and thank you all for being here. Today's session showed how one intentional shift can elevate your marriage and help you step fully into the role of hero husband. Want to revisit this session? Log in anytime at coachmaster.io with your free account. See you soon for session number 3, and until then, keep leading with love.